Welcome to Crack It. Today, in this video, we are going to discuss a very important and a frequently asked interview question topic, which is nothing but garbage collection. So, this specific topic, garbage collection, is commonly asked not only for the beginners but also for the experienced persons. And also, I've taken many interviews and I've seen people who are experienced nearly 12 plus years and they have struggled to answer this specific. Struggle to answer the questions in this specific topic. So let's try to understand what garbage collection is and try to see it with an example today. What are the interview questions that we are going to cover as a part of this garbage collection topic? So we are going to try to understand what is garbage collection and how it works in Java. So to understand working of garbage collection in Java, we need to understand what is mark and sweep algorithm. We need to understand the garbage collection spaces, and when the garbage collection is triggered or when the code is ready to be garbage collected. So we are going to see it along with a coding example. So all these things we are going to see as a part of this video. We are not only going to answer the interview questions, but we are going to understand what that specific topic is, and then we are going to answer those questions. So, what is garbage collection? So, when we are working in Java, we know that Java is an object-oriented programming language. Of course, we know it supports functional programming, but Java is an object-oriented programming language. So, anything we create in Java, those are nothing but the classes and the objects. So, where are those objects in Java are created? Those objects in the Java are created in the heap space. So, when that specific object is no longer needed, we need to delete those objects, not only in Java, in whichever language we are developed. So when an object is no longer needed, do I need to go manually delete the objects? No, that is not the case. Who will do the deletion of those objects? My garbage collector will do the deletion of these objects. So whenever an object is no longer needed by any program, the garbage collector tracks that and that will delete the objects. So what will happen? Eventually, by deleting the object, we will get more space in the heap for the other programs to run. If suppose we are not deleting it, what will happen? The heap will run out of memory, and it will throw out of memory space exception to us. Before Java 8, if you worked with any versions less than Java 8, you would have seen that issue, out of memory issue often. But after Java 8, I know it got reduced, but still it is not completely it's not a guarantee that we will not get out of memory issue at all. So whenever we create an object in Java, and if we don't want that object, the garbage collector will track that and that will delete the objects, which will eventually free up the space in the heap memory. And if suppose the garbage collection is not happening, then what will happen? The memory will run out of space. So that's what is garbage collection, or that is what is the necessity of the garbage collection. Okay, we know we are not doing anything manually. Then now let's try to understand how this garbage collection works in Java. So I'm not deleting my object, then who is deleting my object? Garbage collector is deleting my object. So let's try to understand how is it deleting those objects. So how is this garbage collection works in Java? Garbage collection, that is an automated process and it cannot be forced. Meaning we will not force the garbage collector to collect the unnecessary or the deleted objects. We cannot force it. Yes, I can write a code to call the garbage collector, but that does not guarantee that my garbage collector is called immediately and it will delete those objects, which means I cannot force my garbage collector to clean my objects at any point of time. Yes, I can call a function. So you can see here, we can call a garbage collection function, but that does not guarantee that the function will call immediately. Yes, of course, that function will call, but not immediately. We don't have any guarantee that that will call immediately. So this is completely an automation process. It's not, there's nothing in our hands, nothing manual. Then so as we see here, the garbage collector will track those objects that's no longer needed, and then those will delete those objects. So how is it tracking? That is using the mark and sweep algorithm. So this garbage collection in Java uses some algorithm, and that algorithm is called as mark and sweep algorithm. So this mark algorithm will track those objects or unused objects, and then that will sweep or delete those unused objects. So we will see in the next slide on how that is happening. But for now, just remember this term. Mark and sweep algorithm is used to track and delete the unused objects by the garbage collector in Java. So for we, as I told earlier, we as a developer, we doesn't have any control on when and whether the objects are deleted or not. It's completely with the garbage collector. So in our channel, we have covered many videos. Nearly we have like 66 videos, which is like covering Spring security. We have covered Java 8 interview questions. We have covered token related interview questions. We have covered microservices interview questions, and we have specific playlists for Spring batch. We have one for crash course, which covers Spring security crash course, and we have we have questions covered related to the interview topics of Spring Cloud, Spring Security, Hibernate, and we have a specific dedicated playlist for the microservices which covers 21 videos. And even for the RESTful API, if you are a RESTful developer and if you are going to attend interviews, you have interview questions covered for the RESTful API as well. So I request you all to cover the if you're preparing for the interview, please go through this playlist. It will definitely help you to prepare for your interviews. Let's now try to understand how mark and sweep algorithm helps with the garbage collection of Java. So whenever we are creating an object in the Java, it will create that object in the heap space. So let's assume this as a heap space. So my object is created. Whenever my object is created, that object will be marked with the number 0. And then if suppose the object is used, then what will happen? This mark algorithm will change the number from 0 to 1. So whenever an object is attached with a number 1, which means that the object is being used. If suppose I don't want this object, or I made this object equals null, so then what will happen? The mark algorithm will again mark that object with number 0, which means any object which is with a number 0 means that that object is not used. So whenever the object is not used, this sweep algorithm, this sweep, what will it do? It will delete those objects. So whenever an object is used, then that object will be marked with 1. Whenever an object is not used, then the object is marked with 0, and then the sweep algorithm will delete all those objects that is present in this heap space with number 0. This is how the mark and sweep algorithm works. Let's now discuss the next interview question. What is garbage collection spaces, or what are the generations in the garbage collection? So there are 3 generations in the garbage collection. One is young generation, old generation, and the other one is sperm generation. So what is this young generation? So in the young generation, again we have 2 spaces, which is Eden and the survivor. So whenever a new object is created in Java, those objects will be stored in the Eden space. So I'm creating a new object. I'm giving class C1 is equal to new class of, where will that C1 go sit? It will sit in the Eden space. Then what happens? For some reason, the garbage collection is triggered, and that specific object C1 is survived in the garbage collection cycle. So then where will it get moved? It will get moved to the survivor space. So those objects that is survived from the garbage collection for more than one cycle will be moved from the Eden space to the survivor space. So all good. Again, there are like 3-4 times, multiple times the garbage collection cycle has run, but all those objects, those are survived, like few objects, those are survived and they are in the survivor space only. Then what will happen? They will get moved to the tenured space, meaning those objects that are survived multiple garbage collection cycles will be moved from the survivor space to the tenured space. Perm generation, which is nothing but the metaspace, is a different space which will store the metadata information. So what is, when a new object is created, it will go to the Eden space. So if that object is deleted immediately, or those reference, that object's reference is null, then that will garbage collected here itself. For if that object is used for a long time and has survived like few garbage collection cycles, then it will go to the survivor space. And even in the survivor space, many garbage collection cycles has run, and those object is not deleted because it is being referenced by some other thing. Then what will happen? Those objects will be moved to the tenured space. So this is how the garbage collection spaces works. So in the garbage collection, again we have three spaces, three generations: young generation, old generation, and the perm generation. Again, in the young generation, these young generation, they are called, these are like new objects. The fresh and new objects will be in the Eden, and if it like survived in one garbage collection cycle, move to survivor, and if it's survived in multiple garbage collection cycles, it will get moved to tenured. And then this is like a separate thing, which is nothing but a metaspace, and that will store the metadata information. So let's now discuss about what can trigger this garbage collection. So as we know, if we can trigger the garbage collection, but there is no guarantee that that will run automatically. So because that is an automation process. So let's now, how is that automation process happening? So what is it? So there is something called as minor events. So there are three events which can trigger the garbage collection. One is minor, another is mixed, and the other one is major. So we are now going to discuss about the minor event. So what is this minor event? So this minor event is nothing but the objects in the young generation space, which is the Eden and the survivor space, will get garbage collected. So when there is an event triggered for the, when the minor event is triggered for the garbage collection, then all those objects that are ready to be garbage collected in the young generation space will get garbage collected. Next is mixed events. So what is mixed events now? So when the mixed events is triggered, then the objects in the old generation or the tenured space will get garbage collected. That is called as the mixed event. For the minor event, what will happen? For the minor event, the objects in the young generation will get garbage collected. For the mixed events, the objects in the old generation will get garbage collected. So next is major events. So what is major events? When a major events is triggered, the objects in all these spaces, the young generation, old generation, and the permanent generation will get garbage collected. That is the major event. So there are three events that may trigger the garbage collection: minor, mixed, and major. Minor will collect the garbage, will do the garbage collection in the young generation. Mixed will do it in the old generation. Major will do in the all three garbage collection spaces. Next is like, okay, we are talking about a garbage collection for a long time. So now we need to know what are the objects that are eligible to be garbage collected. So we are discussing over the flow, we know Java is an object oriented programming language. So we need to know which are like, what are the objects that are eligible for the garbage collection. So let's try to understand what are those. If those object is inside a method, so if an object is inside the method and after that method gets executed, then that object is ready to be garbage collected. Then if suppose if I make a variable null, so let's try to understand from this example. So if I have a string s and I'm giving it as string s is equal to crack it techie talks, then again what I'm doing, I'm initializing the same variable to null. So if I initialize the same variable to null, then this object is ready to be garbage collected. Next, what is the other one? So reassigning the variable. So reassigning the variable makes no sense because as a developers, we should always be very sure that we are assigning a variable a right value only. If we are reassigning it, then that should not make sense. But even let's assume for this example, string s is equal to crack it. Then again, I want to reassign it to s is equal to crack it techie talks. In this case, this is ready to be garbage collected. Then the anonymous objects. So if I give some system.out.println and inside that if I give new map versus flat map of, this is an anonymous object. So this is ready to be garbage collected after this piece of line is executed. So all these or the objects, those are eligible for garbage collection. When the object is inside the method, when we make a variable to null, then this is ready to be garbage collected. If I reassign the variable, then this is ready to be garbage collected. And if I have any anonymous objects, then those are ready to be garbage collected after this execution of the line. So all these objects will be eligible for garbage collection. So now we know what and all is eligible for garbage collection. Then we need to know, can we trigger, as since from the beginning we are talking, we can run the garbage collector, but there is no guarantee that the garbage collector will run immediately. So how can we run the garbage collector? There are two ways. First is, like, if we call System.gc in our program, this will call the garbage collector. Again, what can we do? We can use runtime.get runtime.gc to call the garbage collection as well. So when we give the System.gc, this will internally will call this thing only. So eventually this will get executed. So we can call garbage collector in a program in two ways, by using System.gc and by using runtime.get runtime.gc. So there's one important thing that we need to know when we discuss about the garbage collection. So which is nothing but the finalize method that is present in the object. So when the garbage collector is going to destroy an object, any object, then the garbage collector will call the finalize method of the object class. So if I want to write any cleanup activities before the garbage collection process, so all those that I can return in this finalize method. So the finalize method in the object class can be overridden. So object is a superclass of all the classes, as we know. So we can override the garbage finalize method if we want to do any cleanup activities, such as like closing database connections. So finalize method can be overwritten, but it is not recommended to override the finalize method, because after in Java 9 and all, we can do all these closing database connection in try with resources itself. So it's not recommended to override the finalize method of the object class, but if it's required, yes, we can do it. And also, if any exception is thrown in this finalize method, then the exception is ignored. That's it. And also, one more notable thing to know is that this method will call be only once in the object. So very important to know when we talk about garbage collection, which is nothing but the finalize method. So when an object is going to destroy, the finalize method will get executed. It is present in the object class, which is a superclass in the Java class. So if I want to override the finalize method for my specific class, yes, I can do it by overriding the by giving at override annotation, and I can override this finalize method if I want to do any cleanup activities, but that is not recommended to override the finalize method. So if any exception is thrown in this finalize method, what will happen? It will just be ignored, nothing will happen, and also this will be called only once in an object. Next, we see the coding for the garbage collection now. So let's now try to understand the garbage collection using a coding example. So what are the objects that are ready? So let's now see the coding example for the garbage collection. So if you see here, we saw that what are the objects that are eligible for the garbage collection. If you remember, if we assign the same object to null, then this object is ready to be garbage collected, right? So that's what we see. So in this example, if you see, I have an object and I have assigned it to null. Now this object is ready to be garbage collected. And also, if you see here, I have overridden my finalize method. So if you can see from here that this overrides the deprecated method in the java.lang.object. As we see, this finalize method is present in the object class, which is the super class of all the classes, and we are overriding that finalize in our code. So but this is not recommended, as I told earlier. So if we run the, and also you can see in this code that I am calling System.gc. What will this System.gc will do? This System.gc will trigger the garbage collector, but there is no guarantee that it will run immediately. But let's see what is happening when we run this program. So I ran this program and you can see that this is not printed, which means even if I call this System.gc, this didn't trigger the garbage collector immediately, so this finalize method is not called. But when I execute it again, you can see that this garbage collected is printed. It is because there is that maybe this system.gc would have called the garbage collector immediately, and because of that we are now able to see this is out in our in our console. So as I told earlier, there is no guarantee that this system.gc will run immediately. We saw that now. So even now you can see if I run now, this is not called immediately. That's why I'm not able to see this out. And let's try again one more time. We are able to see. So we cannot predict when this garbage collection will get triggered. This is an automation process, and that has to trigger. But yes, this will call the garbage collector, but we don't have guarantee that this will be immediately called. That's what we see in our example now. This is the coding example for the garbage collection. So garbage collection is a very important topic, and the main thing is that once we understand, we will never forget it. This question is like the interview questions related to garbage collection can be asked for any level, even for the beginners, intermediate, experienced. So every one of us need to understand how garbage collection works. So we have lots of videos in our channel for the Spring interview questions, Spring Boot interview questions, Java 8 specific interview questions, Java interview questions, circuit breakers. So we have lots and lots of videos. So I request you all, or meaning the who and all is preparing for interviews, to watch our channel. Please like, comment, share and subscribe for the updates. Please support the channel. Please share it with your friends who are preparing for the interviews. Thanks again for watching. Crack it.